This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome to Chapter 3 of our series, The Morality of Machines, where we delve into the episode titled, Bias in the Machine, Ethical Challenges of Algorithmic Decisions. Today, we're going to explore how algorithmic bias creeps into artificial intelligence and what it means for fairness and ethics in our digital world. So let's dive in. A computer once told a judge that a black defendant was high risk almost twice as often as a white defendant in the same situation. Now hear this. That same quiet, invisible logic may be scoring your loan, filtering your resume, even curating who you date online. That quiet scoring machinery doesn't just live in courtrooms and credit offices. It's woven into the frictionless parts of your day. A navigation app routes police patrols to certain blocks more often because past reports cluster there. A school district software flags which students need intervention, nudging attention and resources towards some kids and away from others. A hospital's triage system ranks who gets a scarce specialist appointment first. None of these systems slam a door shut in a dramatic way. They make thousands of tiny tilts. Who sees which job ad, whose profile is promoted, whose application is recommended for review. Like a high-frequency trader nudging markets in milliseconds, these algorithms shift opportunities in increments too small to feel, but large enough to reshape lives over time. And most of the time, no one can point to a single human who decided. When those hidden systems tilt decisions, it's tempting to blame the algorithm as if it were a rogue employee. But the real story is messier. Historical data, design shortcuts, business incentives, and rushed deployments all leave fingerprints on the outcomes. A hiring tool quietly learns to favor career paths that look like yesterday's executives. A content ranking system boosts posts that trigger outrage because outrage keeps people scrolling. A fraud detector plays it safe by over-flagging people from certain neighborhoods. The pattern isn't evil code, it's unexamined assumptions, scaled and automated. Think of 3 layers where things can go wrong: what goes in, how it's shaped, and where it lands. First, what goes in. Most training datasets are really archives of past human behavior. They're records of who got hired, who was arrested, who received loans. When a system learns from that archive, it quietly absorbs not just patterns, but power structures. If a company's old resumes skew male, a hiring model may treat being like past hires as a proxy for being good, even if no one ever types gender into the code. The system doesn't need to see race, gender, or disability to reconstruct them from zip codes, schools, or career gaps. Second, how it's shaped. Even with perfect data, which we never have, design choices can tilt outcomes. Engineers choose loss functions, what counts as a mistake worth avoiding, and those choices encode priorities. Is it worse to deny a loan to someone who would have repaid, or grant a loan to someone who will default? Optimizing for overall accuracy can conflict with equal error rates across groups. Mathematicians have proven that some fairness goals simply can't all be satisfied at once. You must decide which trade-offs to live with and for whom. Then there's feature selection. Which signals are allowed to influence predictions? A team might exclude race but keep variables that shadow it, like neighborhood or income band. They may compress complex people into a handful of numbers because that's what scales. Each simplification feels reasonable in isolation, but collectively they strip away context that might have justified exceptions or second looks. Third, where it lands. Deploying the same model in different places can have wildly different effects. A security tool in a high-stakes setting like immigration control is not the same as one ranking movie recommendations. Feedback loops deepen the grooves. A policing system that sends extra patrols to one area generates more incident reports there, which the system reads as evidence that its focus was right, justifying even more patrols. Ethical practice, then, isn't a one-time fairness patch. It's closer to refactoring a legacy codebase in production, monitoring behavior, tracing unintended dependencies, rewriting parts while the system is live, and being prepared to roll back when harms surface, especially for those least able to contest the outcome. A resume screener that prefers certain universities doesn't just pick schools. It quietly tracks who historically had access to them, often wealthier, whiter, more connected applicants. A predictive tool in child welfare can weigh prior hotline calls without tracking who was more likely to be reported in the first place, frequently poorer families under closer institutional gaze. A health cost model might rank patients by past spending, not actual illness, underestimating needs in communities that already struggled to see doctors. In content moderation, a system tuned to avoid offensive language may overflag posts written in dialects or reclaim slurs from marginalized groups, while letting more polite harassment slide. Even convenience features can misfire. Autofill that suggests he for doctor and she for nurse doesn't just mirror stereotypes, it gently rehearses them for the next generation of users, one keystroke at a time. Looming ahead is a choice about power, not just precision. As more sectors lean on automated judgments, fairness could become as regulated as food safety. Routine bias inspections, standardized labels, penalties for hidden harms. You might grant lenders or hospitals this kind of scrutiny, but what about dating apps or schools quietly ranking kids? The deeper question is, who gets to set the fairness recipes, and how those most affected get a real say before the system hardens? We're still early in deciding how much judgment we're willing to outsource, and on whose terms. Like rewriting a shared recipe, changing one ingredient shifts the whole meal. Tweak transparency, and trust tastes different. Add community oversight, and new voices season the mix. The open question is who gets to stand in the kitchen with their hand on the stove. Start with this tiny habit. When you see a recommendation box online, like people you may know or suggested for you, pause for 3 seconds and whisper to yourself, who might this be excluding? Then, click on just one profile, product, or post that's not like your usual picks, different background, viewpoint, or demographic, to gently nudge the algorithm toward diversity. If you're applying for a job or loan online today, add one question in your notes. What data might this system be using that could be biased against someone like me or others? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. This series continues with more chapters on OwlUp.co. Visit OwlUp.co to access the complete course and continue your learning journey. See you there!